Cool. So in this video, you guys are in the background. You can probably hear yourselves mumbling. I apologize. Normally I do this during my break. So in this video, what we're going to do, we're going to get a little weird. We're going to mess around with this thing called the clone stamp tool, which is actually pretty cool. You can do a lot of really, really neat things with it. Like I said, I want to work non-destructively. And so instead of working directly on our image, what we're going to do is that we're going to go down here into our little piece of paper there, and we're going to make a new layer. Okay. We're going to go to our clone stamp tool. And so if you look up here, this says current layer, current and below, all layers. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's on current and below. All right. The way the clone stamp works is that think about what the actual name of the tool is. Where a clone makes a copy, stamp puts it somewhere else. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone something and stamp it somewhere else. So I'm going to take her eye and I'm going to put another copy of her eye up here. So if I hold down Alt, you notice it turns into a crosshair. All right. So I'm going to click. And now you can kind of actually see what it's going to look like up there. So now if I paint, you can see it's putting that up there. All right. And the thing is, because it's non-destructive, right? It's on a totally separate layer, right? It's on there. So if I want to bring some of it down a little bit, if it's a little too intense, I can bring my eraser tool. Or if you wanted to, you could even mask it. I'm just going to use a eraser tool, which is fine because we're on a totally separate layer. And I'm going to kind of bring my opacity down and make a few passes over the top of it just to kind of lighten it up a little bit, just to kind of help it blend in a little bit more. All right, because we want it to look as real as possible. I can also rotate it, kind of move stuff around a little bit. Boom, I'm good to go. Okay, so now we have a third eye on Miss Olive. Cool. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our effects down into this world. We can, I'm actually going to make a new layer by by going here. I'm going to make a solid color. And let's do, I don't know, let's do like a green. Okay, think about, once again, how our layers are lining up. I'm going to throw that in the background. With this one, we're actually going to mess around with stuff called effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pattern overlay with this one. Okay, so if we look at that, this is our pattern here. And up here is how we're changing how it interacts, right? How it blends. So if I do darken, right? If I do multiply, color burn, each one of these are going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to just kind of stick with multiply for right now. And then I'm also going to, I can change the scale of that, right? To make it, however I want. Cool. And then I can link it with layer, any of that kind of stuff. There's lots of kind of crazy different things that we can do with these. Play around with them. If you do it on a solid color, you're not going to see the changes as much. But if we went to like this layer and I added an effects, let's do like a satin, right? From there, you'll actually see it change. But one of the problems is it's not doing that other layer there. So it's only affecting the layer that it's underneath. Okay, so inner glow, right? So I can bring that out in the amount of noise, choke, size, any of that kind of stuff. Playing around with this stuff, you can kind of find out and end up with some kind of interesting, weird, like little things that you can kind of come up with. So you can almost make it look like there's a green glow from this background on her. So the noise is like that kind of like chunky, gritty stuff that's going on in there. So I'm gonna hit OK. We'll just leave it like that. And the choke is like basically like where that hard line is. I'm gonna go open the door for somebody. And I'm back. Size is how far it goes in. So I'm actually going to bring my noise down so it's more of a glow. Choke down a little bit so it's not as obvious. All right, so it's more like that. And then you can see my range is like from clear to, and then my jitter. I don't actually even know what the jitter does. We'll see. Can I alias? Cool. So we'll say I'm good on that. You notice it's just adding stuff under there, underneath, right? And so once again, non-destructive. All right. Let's do one last thing, and then we'll be done with these. I'm going to join those two together, and I'm actually going to put one last adjustment layer on top of this. I'm going to do this thing called threshold, and let's link that down, right? And then you can kind of see we can end up with kind of a cool effect. Actually, I don't like it that way. Let's do a gradient map over this whole thing. We're going to link it down. And so my gradient map is this right here. So let's mess around with some of our gradient stuff. So with the gradients, is that what you can see is that's this right here, right? So right now we're basically going black on black on black, but we can switch it up and kind of mess around and pick different colors. This is actually how they end up doing a lot of like photo filters and that kind of stuff too. So what we can do is maybe do kind of an intense kind of thing. There I can change my noise from solid to, that's super weird. Let's go back to solid. We can change the smoothness of it. You know, lots of different options to mess around with too. I can change the colors if I want by dragging things in and out. I hit OK. In this, since this is like a totally separate layer, I can actually say, once again, like how do I want it to interact with the layers below it? And so you can kind of come up with some weird looking stuff. So I'm actually just going to leave it as normal. Intensity feather, layer mask. Go in here. Cool. So I'm fine with that. I think that works fine. And then we'll get into one more in box number 4. So make sure you go to File, Save. Right, so now I'm at square 3. And then go start number 4. File, Open, square number 4.